Virginia duo Vacation Manor. This band crept up on me, and I seriously cannot stop listening. Their music is incredibly authentic, catchy, and honest. Nathan and Cole perfectly execute a indie pop jam, but they also immerse you into a world that has so much more genres. Most recently, they released their single As This Is Coming Out, Parachute, and overall, this band just really hits, and I'm very grateful to find them, and I'm very grateful to have you guys on the show today. Welcome!
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, just to kind of get into it, it's still kind of early, but what was the first thing you guys listened to today?
You know, I haven't listened to a song yet today.
Okay.
I put on Bill Evans, jazz artist, while I was making the bed and stuff this morning.
That's a vibe in itself.
It really was. Very nice in the spring weather.
I know. You guys are in Virginia still, right?
Uh-huh.
Awesome. So I'm in Bowie, so it's like 30 minutes from DC in Maryland. So we're
Bowie, Maryland?
pretty close. Yeah.
I'm from Bowie.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I grew up in Bowie, Maryland. I was just there 2 days ago.
Wait, wait,
I'm not
what?
kidding you.
That's hilarious.
Wait,
That's
really
so
funny.
random.
I know. I
never meet anybody from Bowie.
Everything that I've seen from you guys is like, oh, it's all like Lynchburg. So when I was like, oh yeah, they're not even gonna know where Bowie is. That is so funny.
Oh yeah.
Can I ask what elementary school you went to?
I was homeschooled, but I grew up in the M section.
I live in the W section.
No way!
Yeah, that is so... small world.
Very small world.
For real.
Wait, that was very
Did you ever go to Whitehall Pool?
I didn't, but I did go on my friend's pass a lot.
Same.
But I went to Whitehall Elementary School. How old are you?
26.
Okay, yeah, so I'm 24, so we would have been there probably around the same time.
Wow. How bizarre.
So I know.
What a way to start an interview.
Are you also from Bowie?
I'm not. No, I'm from here. Yeah.
Okay.
But I have spent a lot of time up there with Nate, so.
Well, we're just neighbors at this point.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Literally. So your guys' origin story as a band is very unexpected, to say the least. You guys kind of jumbled together for a Battle of the Bands competition, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually in DC at Catholic University was our first show ever, was a Battle of the Bands there.
And clearly you battled it out and you guys are doing great now. So what is your kind of personal origin stories? Like, how did you guys both get into music?
I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I guess, for me, the start of it, I was probably about, 13, and my neighbor had a drum kit, and I would hear him playing sometimes, and I just thought it sounded like a ton of fun. And, yeah, he played at the youth group that I went to as a kid, and he was, in the band and everything, and I was like, that looks like so much fun. And so, basically, I just asked him to teach me how to play, and so I started taking drum lessons from him, and then, yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and then I started, playing at my church a ton, and, just kind of went from there, but...
Yeah, similarly, my mom was a piano teacher, which I think I took maybe 3 piano lessons from her, and didn't have the capacity to stick with it, but when I was 10, I think I got my first drum set, and then my first guitar shortly after that, and yeah, just kind of same thing, just constantly learning songs, playing at church and stuff, and then yeah, I didn't really start I don't think I started singing until 16, and I started doing open mics with friends and stuff, and then yeah, went to school for music for a little bit at Anne Arundel Community College, and then yeah, things just kind of picked up from there, and kind of started writing songs a couple months before I met Cole, and then we started the band.
Wow. So for me, I know I listened to a lot of a shit show of music in the house. My mom was listening to Motown and stuff. My dad was very much dad rock, Led Zeppelin. Did you guys have huge parental influences or even sibling influences what you were listening to?
I did. My dad was always listening to Eagles and kind of that Laurel Canyon scene. Him and my mom met out in California in I think the 80s or something, I guess, or 70s maybe. So he just always was kind of like listening to music that was popular then, and that was kind of happening out there. And so that definitely, I still listen to a ton of that stuff. So that definitely left an impact on me. And then my mom also listens to a ton of Motown stuff. She's from Michigan, so she was like very, very into all of that growing up because a lot of it was happening out there. So
Right.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this the other day because, like, I did not. My mom like played music, but we just did not listen to a lot of music. There was just not like that going on in the house all the time. I do remember one Beach Boys album that we had on tape in the family van. That, yeah, I remember stuff like that. But yeah, first musical memories are like, I remember my sister gave me a Black Eyed Peas CD when I was in second grade.
There you go.
Maybe a little early for listening to Black Eyed Peas, I don't know. But, and then, like, it was just random stuff. Like, I remember my sisters were older than me, so they were, like, listening to, like, Rascal Flatts and stuff like that. So it was, like, really not much that mirrors my taste today. But, like, I think there are, like, specific memories of songs where I was like, oh, I love whatever's happening there. But I didn't connect it to, like, a bigger, like, I'm going to go buy that guy's album or something.
Right.
Probably because I was, like, 8 or something. But things that, like, pop out to me that are, like, have influenced my taste until now were, like, soundtracks. Because that's where I think I would hear was through watching movies was, like I'll always remember and Remember the Titans when Fire and Rain by James Taylor starts playing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, You've Got Mail, great soundtrack. Still stuff that I listen to. But probably, like, I don't know. That's, like, the earliest memory of, like, music that I listen to now popping up. But then I really didn't start getting into, like, bands and, like, having a taste of my own until, like, middle school, early high school.
Okay. So, at least for me, I don't remember a music scene in this area at all. Like, when I was listening to music, it was like, you know, the typical, like, I listened to a lot of Fall Out Boy, like, middle school, high school, even in elementary school. And, like, you know, I didn't really grasp the concept of local artists in high school, and I just didn't have, like, the ability to go to shows. So, how did this area specifically, and, like, Virginia as well, like, how did those music scenes kind of shape, like, the sound you guys wanted to make?
Yeah, I think both of those things agreed. Like, there was not really a local Dewey music scene. But as I started getting into high school, I would just go into DC all the time. And, like, I specifically remember, I would just, like, sometimes I would just go up to, like, Rock and Roll Hotel or U Street Music Hall and, like, just buy a ticket to whoever was playing that night. Kind of. There was definitely, like, a phase where I was just obsessed with it and just, like, wanted to go see stuff like that. But I definitely think just through having, like, I don't know, that's the funny thing is, like, there's not, I'm sure there is a DC music scene. I don't know it super well, but you have so many people coming through and so many great venues there that as I started getting, like, becoming aware of that, I felt like that definitely shaped a lot of my taste. And then the scene in Lynchburg, like, when we were starting, was, like, really, like, everybody was in a band, kind of. Like, there was and which sounds weird. It's like, why in Lynchburg, Virginia would that happen? And it's not really that way at the moment, but, like, it just kind of felt like this golden era of, like, everybody, like, you want to go write songs with everybody. And, like,
wow.
There was, like, a festival that, like, some friends of ours had started and everything, and it just, like, everybody just kind of had the freedom to start something, which I think was actually really cool and specific to an area, like a really small town like this, because it's, like, there's nobody to compete with, so competition really isn't, like, on your brain. It's just kind of, like, pure creativity. Like, this event is going on, like, if we can get together 5 songs, we could go play at it. Because it's not like, you know, we're not trying to beat out somebody else for the spot or something. But yeah, that was a really cool time, and I think influenced us a ton, because we would
For sure.
get together and just want to write songs so that we had a long enough set to go play a show down at the record store.
That's so interesting. And, you'd mentioned like there's not like huge like scene here, and like obviously there's like a huge go-go scene here, and then also like hip hop, and it's interesting because I feel like there's an underground indie rock thing happening, but nobody knows about it because I've heard multiple bands like slowly like peering from the shadows that are from this area, and they're playing like this type of music, and I'm like, well, let's get it popping, like let's make DC that type of scene. I don't know if you guys know who Sub Radio is. I had them on and we talked about like this DC scene itself.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We've played with them a few times.
And it's like, and there's other ones popping up, and I'm finding them on Instagram. I'm like, all right, so like after everything is kind of back to a normalcy, like let's get this indie rock, indie pop, like season going here, because I would love to see it, because a lot of like your type of music and like a lot of stuff I listen to is a lot of it's coming out of Nashville, and you guys, I believe, do spend a lot of time in Nashville, or prior to COVID writing. How is the experience there in Nashville compared to doing stuff at home?
It was really good. We lived there for like almost 3 years, or I guess 2.5 years, which was really fun. It was great. We learned a ton, and it was just awesome to be around just a lot of really great artists and meet people, and it was really cool. But most of our music has been made down there. Our producer that did this record that's about to come out, he lives there, so the first EP we did with him back in like 2015, we recorded there, and then this whole album we did there. So we have a lot of history and like a lot of ties to it. A lot of good memories there. But yeah, it's a great town. It's fun. It's just so cool. You never know who you're going to see, like if you're going out somewhere, or whether it's a friend or like someone that you really like admire what they do. So that side of it's very exciting, especially coming from, a small town.
It still feels like we're kind of like sort of based there a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of the guys that come out on the road with us live there. Yeah. Just so much of the way that we function now kind of exists there a little bit too.
That's awesome. I've not been to Nashville, but because I've talked to a few people who are all based in Nashville, because like I said, like a lot of like this type of music is coming from that area. I can't wait to enjoy it in its, pure form, and like having that ability, to walk around and hear not just, this indie type rock, pop, all pops type stuff, but also like, the little bit of country and then hip hop, and the kind of mixing bowl that's become Nashville is just incredible. And I'm really glad that we have something like that, on the East Coast, because obviously like Los Angeles is what it is. But having the ability to have that kind of central, area that a lot of creators, not even just like from the US, but the world alone, want to come to, not just Los Angeles anymore. It's Nashville also is on their top of like, the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it seemed like it started becoming like, I don't know, in the last 10, 15 years. But especially like in the last couple, it just feels like it's like multiplied how many people are going there for like things other than country.
Absolutely. I mean, so you brought up the upcoming record, and as we're recording this, Parachute comes out, I think, in 2 days, which I'm excited to hear. The last couple songs you guys have put out, I really enjoyed. Feel Something was very emotionally packed and just a great, ballad, and I absolutely adored it. Do you kind of want to talk about what's coming out in the next couple months?
Yeah, for sure. And thank you. So this is the last single before the full album comes out on June 11th.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're really excited about that. All this stuff that's been coming out as singles obviously like fits together in kind of a broader narrative on the record. And we're really excited for people to hear the other songs that haven't come out already. But yeah, I was just, we've kind of talked about this. Like, I feel like there's kind of two types of records, and I love both kinds, but like some feel like more of like a deep dive into like exploring a specific like sonic location, or like somebody like The War on Drugs, if you listen to them or something. I feel like it feel like in so many ways it's like it feels like the same song again and again, but it's so cool, and like I love each of those songs, and they're all so interesting in their own ways. And then I feel like there's other records that feel more like they kind of like you get in the car at one point and you take a really long drive and you get out by the end of it and you're somewhere else. And I feel like the record that we're coming out with is a little bit more like that. Like it covers kind of a lot of ground.
Absolutely.
Which I feel like has already come across in like the singles that we've put out, is it really kind of has been all over the place.
But in such a great way.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad it's coming across well. But yeah, that gets us really excited.
So it's interesting because listening to the last 3 you put out, you wow, I have the literally memory of a goldfish. Can't Run Forever and Then Feel Something. You is like borderline country-ish, and I used to love country music. Don't get me wrong. I like my first concert was Tim McGraw. Like I grew up going to like every country concert in this area. And as I grow older, you listen to other things that like you decide to listen to. So I've recently like slowly like branched out a little bit more, Casey Musgraves, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So when I first heard this, I was like, oh yes. Like it's that like, borderline, like playing the I can't even think.
Yeah.
Playing that rope. So I really enjoyed it. Can you talk about how you guys kind of like, decided to go that route with that single?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like you can speak to kind of like the...
Yeah. I mean, basically, first off, like Nathan and I, like we love music. Like that you're kind of talking about, like that alt country or maybe like alternative folk kind of scene. Like that's most of what I feel like we kind of actually listen to.
Yeah.
Is mostly those things. So it was really fun for us to be able to put out a song that was kind of like hinting at it, because we had always talked about like how that was like the first song that we had put out that we really felt like actually sounded a little bit like the music that we kind of really personally love. And not that you like have to, like, I don't know. I think it's really cool when bands have influences that you would never guess. You don't hear that at all in their music. I think that's awesome. But sometimes it's really fun when you can hear it, So this one felt like it was a song that we could put out that actually like represented like a different side of us. So that was really exciting. And then it was really cool that people like really liked it and, say nice things about it like you just did and say that it like hit them in a cool way and also was kind of a bit of a surprise. So it just kind of checked all the boxes for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we were kind of starting to feel that when we were writing it. It was just like such a fun experience too, and probably happened over the course of like 2 or 3 days maybe.
Yeah.
The musical side of it. So just a lot of good memories attached to it, and it was just really fun to make and to get to put out something that was kind of in that sort of other genre,
Yeah. It is fun to like after you've made this or like after you've recorded the song to like reflect on like, I wonder, like, what were we thinking right here? Like, why did we, not in a bad way, but just, like, what led us to, like, make that decision? Because in the moment, you're not, like, especially if it's going well, you're usually not thinking too much. And you're just kind of following your instincts. But it is fun afterwards to be like, oh, yeah, I kind of hear, like, James Taylor. And then there's kind of, like, some alt country and, like, yeah. I don't know totally what leads up to that, but I think it's a culmination of a lot of different tastes put together. And I feel like we kind of did hint at some of that on Girl Say, the song. Was the first time. But it was fun to have like a whole record to kind of just explore all of these different lanes of music that are inspiring to us.
Absolutely. And I think that, your guys' sound is... I kind of hit on it in the intro. Is like you guys have this like main genre you hit, and then you guys have such there's so much depth in it also, because it's like you said, like there's a lot of influences you would never expect, and some are more obvious than others, and I think that's so unique. And a lot of bands do kind of stick to those typical genres, and looking more recently, like a lot of bands are being like, well, we're not just gonna stick here, we're just gonna like play whatever field we want to play. Which is very exciting, because I think that's where you find the most genuine, the most, where you feel the most heart when you're listening to music. So I really, like, I seriously, like, can't wait for this record.
Thank you.
So I like to tell all the bands I have on here how I found you guys. So I heard Falling Back off of Girl Say. It came on my Discover Weekly, like, I don't know, I think it was like sometime. It was during quarantine, and I absolutely, like, the whole EP is great. And
Thanks.
I think that Spotify itself right now is such a weird, like, music discovery source, because I never expected it to become that for myself as a fan. But now, like, bands like you guys, I mean, you guys have been featured on Morning Coffee, Acoustic Massage, which I didn't know was a thing.
Me didn't either until it was there. Yeah.
Fresh Folk, Antipop, and then also Soda. And Soda's like the big, like, in my opinion, like, that's where I go if I want to discover like new bands in this like kind of realm of things. What is your reaction to that? Because podcasting, playlisting right now on Spotify is such like a whole like business in itself almost. So how do you guys kind of feel about that?
I mean, it's super exciting when that stuff happens. It like feels good to basically feel like something that you put out is getting some sort of like stamp of approval or something. Like, that definitely does feel good, you know. But I think for us, it's mostly just exciting knowing that like more people might hear it and will maybe hear other songs through it. And yeah, it's cool. I mean, and we're thankful, you know, Spotify's really helped us kind of have a career doing what we're doing, because they were kind of early on, like, just inadvertently like pushing our music, it felt like, through things like Discover Weekly and all that. So yeah, it's very cool when that stuff happens, because at least in our heads, it's like, oh, maybe like more people will be at the shows next time we can tour, or maybe, you know, more people will listen to like the album when it comes out, blah blah blah. So yeah,
definitely. So I kind of want to go over a couple numbers if that doesn't stress you guys out. So monthly listeners on Spotify, I checked yesterday and it was at 300,000, and I checked this morning just to make sure I wasn't wrong. It was 301,000, and
wow,
how that changes overnight, I do not know. I can't fathom that many people. So as like a band who kind of like, from what I understand, like stumbled on you guys, kind of like came together real quick. How is that reaction in comparison to like, you know, your beginnings to where you guys are now?
I think like, yeah, I don't know. It's happened slowly. Like, we've been a band for almost 7 years now. And I guess released music on Spotify for the first time in 2016? 15. And yeah, I mean, I think I'm really glad, I hope this gets to your question, but like, I'm glad that we started off like in a live environment, and like it was all about like playing shows at the beginning. There was like a year where we were just like writing and playing as many shows as we could. So it felt really good to kind of have like, it felt like we had like a local fan base before anything on Spotify started happening. So yeah, it's been nice that we've been able to kind of like try to follow like the numbers that have come from Spotify, that we try to like go out and play shows and kind of turn those people into like real fans who have had like a real actual experience with us. So I think the numbers are really helpful with stuff like that. But it is weird, like, I don't know, like we live in a small town, and like we don't really come in contact every day with like a tangible reminder, really, of like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of hard for us to comprehend that it's like, oh, 300,000 people listened this month. Like, in some ways I'm grateful we can't really comprehend that, because it doesn't, I don't think it goes to our heads a lot, but like, yeah, and it's just weird because it's like, we haven't seen these people in like a year and a half, because we haven't gotten to go on the road since then. So yeah, it is cool when we see, like, it feels tangible when we see that in person, and we're able to go on the road and like go to a city we've never been to before, and just be affirmed that like, yeah, there really are people.
It's not just bots in a warehouse. Like,
yeah, it's not just bots in a warehouse. Sorry, that was a really long answer to a simple question.
It was a perfect answer to an okay question. So I want to bring up your producer. I love talking about producers because of recently I've become just enamored with the concept of like following producers' music rather than going to an artist and going to their album, just finding out who the producer was. Shout out to Jack Antonoff for that one because that man can do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
So your guys' producer Kyle, I read that you guys had mentioned that it's a very collaborative and different, and he brings out the individual perfectionism and strongest qualities. So I'm assuming he is coming back for this next record, or are you guys producing it self-producing?
We haven't really decided yet. I think. Are you talking like for the one after the one that's about to come out?
No, this current one that's coming out.
This current one. Oh yeah. So he was the main producer on it. He produced, I guess, 9 out of 12 songs on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was really, I mean, it's great working with him. I mean, the bio I think that was from our bio maybe, but it says it best there. I mean, he really does bring out a lot of, definitely the perfectionism, but also just like, I think that he makes, in a good way, we all three get a little bit OCD about things and want things to be perfect and want things to be just right. And though it can be very long and frustrating process sometimes, you always end up with like something that you like and you feel like you were kind of like pushing each other in good ways.
Yeah. Like, regardless of who you're working with, there's gonna be creative tensions at times, and there totally were on this album. But we also really love Kyle, and like, I think we were able to like really communicate and understand each other well. And I think that's like, there's no situation where you don't have creative tension in some way. But like, I think the mark of the relationship being good is if you're able to communicate over that and in the middle of that happening. And yeah, Kyle just feels like he's a good friend of ours too. Like, it just feels like a really comfortable relationship that we have with him. And yeah, we'd hang out even if we didn't work in music together, which is always kind of, I think, the relationship we shoot for with people we're working with closely. Because it is business, but it is personal, you know?
Absolutely.
At the same time, and like, yeah. But yeah, we're super grateful for him.
So in the future, is there any producers you would love to work with in the industry?
That's a great question.
Could list off some that we really admire.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Jack Antonoff is one. He's amazing.
Yeah.
He's so
and Aaron Dessner.
Yeah, both of those guys.
We're talking Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Let's just rattle off all of Taylor's producers. But yeah, I mean, honestly, really love what both those guys do. There's this guy named Joe Ciccarelli that's really just an awesome. He's an older guy. I think he maybe started working on stuff in like the 80s or 90s maybe.
He did that early Young the Giant record.
Yeah, he did the first one they did. Yeah. But he just seems like an awesome guy I just like his sensibilities and like what he places value on. I think is really cool.
Similarly to you though, we do nerd out over producers and mix engineers too. Like there's this one mix engineer, Michael Brower, who did like, he's done a lot of Coldplay stuff, a lot of John Mayer.
Some Grizzly Bear.
Yeah.
That new Radicals album with that song You Get What You Give, which is like my favorite song. He mixed that.
Yeah, he's just an incredible mix engineer though, and we love the stuff that he's done.
Well, now you're going to send me into a loophole or a downward spiral of looking at mix engineers compared to
yeah. That's another really like kind of fascinating category because they really have a strong like well, not all of them. Some of them try not, but a lot of them do have like a stamp, you know, and like they have kind of a sound that you can hear through you know multiple albums from like different bands. And some people try and not do that. Some people try and do that, but it's just like a fascinating little world. It's cool.
So looking at the future, obviously we'd all like to go to shows. You guys, I'm sure, would love to play a show right now. I'd love to go to one. Thinking in a very optimist, place. Who do you guys want to go on tour with? Where do you want to go? Like, what's the goal after we can do this in a safe manner?
It would just be awesome to play a show out of the country. As far as
Yeah.
the where to go side of your question, that sounds super exciting. Or even just the West Coast. We're
Right.
trying to get out there right now.
Yeah. We're actually, before you called, we were in the middle of planning some tentative tour dates. I won't say for when.
That's exciting.
But yeah, we're really excited about that. And like, I'm trying to think as far as like, who we would want to. I mean, we know who we're going to be going out with on this one, which we're very excited about. But as far as like, I feel like you're asking the question in like aspirational, like who would it be amazing to play a
who'd you
show
love
with?
to vibe with on tour? I mean, obviously, don't give away who you're dropping with, but
Yeah.
you know, also a dream kind of tour you'd like to be on.
Yeah.
The Killers.
Honestly.
The Killers, War on Drugs,
Fleet Foxes.
Fleet Foxes,
Yeah.
Paper Kites.
It'd be
Love
awesome
them.
to tour with Casey Musgraves. Big fans of
Yeah.
hers.
Casey, if you're listening, please.
I'll put in a word.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
do. I actually saw her, like, was it 2 or 3 years ago in DC?
Oh, really?
Opening for Harry Styles.
Oh my god.
Another one
yeah.
we'd love to open for, Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's throw him in
I'll
the
I'll
mix.
call his people. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let them know.
Let him know.
Yeah.
if I could, I haven't, you know, I did my whole One Direction, you know, 16, 17-year-old Allie
As you
One
should.
Direction tours, but I haven't seen Harry yet, and that's one I want to really get onto. But you know, as somebody who's like taking COVID pretty seriously and stuff like that, like seeing these tour dates, is kind of like weird, and I don't know how to feel about it. But I did buy coin tickets yesterday. I'm not even gonna lie.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
it's nice that we can all look at it in a very like optimist sense and really like have something to look forward to now that it's been kind of a rough year. Excuse me. In this last year, how have you guys kind of handled, I want to say marketing almost, but like every band has kind of handled COVID differently. You know, a lot of people were looking forward to touring and that was going to be their main, you know, attraction point. How did you guys kind of take it on?
I mean, it's for us. It also ended up being like the year that we made our first album, so we didn't quite necessarily get to do like, I guess as much like, how do I put it? We were kind of like a little bit in our own little world for a while.
Yeah.
You know,
we were
we
in
really,
the bunker.
yeah, we were kind of in the bunker, like making the thing. So I mean, it would have been fun to do more like the virtual shows or whatever, things like that, you know. But we really were kind of mostly just making the album. So, and I guess like last summer we started putting out some of the songs and some of the music videos. So I definitely did that, but most of it really was spent just making this thing.
Definitely. And like
Yeah.
beauty comes out of the hell that we've all kind of been through. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it ended up being actually the perfect year for us to make an album because we had never done it before and we really didn't know how to do it by any means. So we knew how to write and record songs and stuff, obviously, but we didn't really know like how to make a full body of work and also just all the crazy logistics that go through it too, you know. So it was nice that we actually had the space to figure it out when there was nothing else going on. Nathan and I were like living in apartments that were literally a block away from each other. So we were able to kind of quarantine together and still work on things, which is awesome. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, do you guys want to play a game of quick picks where I make you quick pick songs on a very specific scenario?
Let's do it.
That
sounds great.
So there's only 3. I've already come up with my answers because if I don't, we'd be here for 3 hours.
Do we each answer?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
whatever song comes in your head first. You're walking through a grocery store. The vibe, the decor is all still kind of stuck in the 90s. It's almost like walking into a time capsule. What song is playing? I chose "Walk Like an Egyptian" by the Bangles.
I don't know if I know that one, actually.
Oh, you
would know it if you heard
Yeah.
it.
I'll check it out. Song I referenced earlier, "You Get What You Give," New Radicals.
Okay.
Dreams by the Cranberries.
Good choice.
Okay. Yeah, that honestly, we're just gonna make a playlist of '90s grocery store vibes, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
put them all in it. The next one, you're in a taxi, the rain is falling, you're driving through New York City, and it's just like the most miserable like brain, time ever. I picked Vienna by Billy Joel.
Oh, nice. Good one.
Just the very stereotypical.
Wait, so
coming
it's
of age song.
raining. You're in a taxi. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I've got mine. It's Don't Keep on Driving
Okay.
by the Paper Kites.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Do you know that song?
I do. Yeah, I listen to Paper Kites.
Oh, nice. That song to me totally feels like rainy New York.
I'd probably go In Reverse, War on Drugs.
Okay. All right. And the last one, this is a kind of funny one. You're driving home from a date or with your significant other, and the date goes terribly. You have to cut the silence on the way home. What song are you playing? I myself picked Hot Girl Summer by Megan Thee Stallion. Just the perfect cut the silence song.
Oh, wow.
I'm picturing this in my own scenario, and my wife is a big Taylor Swift fan. So I'm thinking if I needed to cut tension with her, I'd play Invisible String by Taylor Swift.
Ooh, that's the perfect one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Honestly,
Like,
I
it's
could put on
okay,
any
like-
of her songs, and it would make things a little better.
Just put folklore on. Just make
Yeah.
it better.
Yeah. I'd probably go Sound of Silence. That's probably what I'd go for. And just
Simon and
lean into it.
Garfunkel.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
And just lean into it.
Sorry if you hear my dog barking.
Just really,
It's, like, freaking
just
out
darken
right now.
things even more.
Yeah. You just want. I just want to. You just want to sit in that space.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like, it was terrible. Like, we're gonna take it in. It's gonna
Honestly,
be-
though, I probably would play that because then it would be really funny, and then you'd start laughing,
Yeah.
and then you'd probably be out of it. It's kind of, you would
Yeah.
acknowledge that it's weird, and then maybe just by doing that, you could.
Well, we've been in a
You can
scenario
do that.
like that as a band before.
We have, and I'm going to tell you a
Oh,
story.
yeah.
One time, do you know the song I'm talking about? The Hello Darkness, My Old Friend?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
song? Okay, yeah. So, we were leaving, or we
St.
were coming
Louis.
out of, St. Louis, coming out of a parking garage. I'm driving the van. We were about to pay at the little bottom of this hill
Mhm.
in the parking garage where the little toll booth or whatever that thing is, whatever it is. And we were going to go pay down there. That's what I thought we were supposed to do. So I start pulling down this tight little alleyway to get down there.
It was very tight.
Very tight. And then Nathan and our guitar player Jason were like, "Oh no, I think you said something about we gotta come up here and you gotta pay for it over there." And then I was like, "No, I think we just pay for it down here, blah blah blah." We got into a little quick argument about where we should pay, so I ended up having to like back out of the way that I was going down. So I'm backing, and then I go to turn to come out of that little alleyway I was in, and then shoom, there's this little post that's like maybe 3 feet off the ground, and it just digs right into the side of the van and gets lodged right between kind of like where the gas tank is and where the back door is, and it just gets stuck right in there.
It was a horrible sound.
Horrible sound.
It sounded worse than it was.
Oh yeah, and it was in a parking garage too, so it echoed for like what felt like ever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so it was just uncomfortable because I thought that I could have kept going, would have been fine. They were like, no, you got to back out. So I backed out. Then this thing happens. It was 100% my fault, but it was just uncomfortable, and I was feeling very down.
It was. We were all stressed.
Yeah, and none of us had any, like the band didn't have money, I didn't have money, so I was like, what is going to happen here?
Just a disaster
but
in itself.
It's still there. We just
It's-
put Rust-Oleum over it so it doesn't rust.
And
It's
spray
good.
paint. Yeah.
Perfectly
But
fine.
anyway, so we're just going down the road. No one's really talked about it yet. It's just uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, I just, sound of silence. Play it through the speakers. And it was pretty funny.
It did lighten the
Yeah,
mood.
it did lighten
Yeah.
the mood. Yeah. So, that's my answer.
That's a great answer. Even better with the story. Well, sorry to hear about your van.
It's okay. It was purely cosmetic, and it still runs like a stallion.
Still kicking.
Yeah.
So I have one final question for you guys. Musicians have the ability and the platforms to leave their marks on the world in so many ways, either larger or smaller. What mark do you guys want to make as a band?
I don't know. I think like in terms of just like playing to our strengths here, I would hope that with our music, I think kind of a goal with our sound, or maybe not even a goal, just something we've noticed is like, we do try to make stuff that is authentic and like that you can use to like engage with your emotions and what you're thinking. Well, so, but I also think like a lot of the stuff is like upbeat. So I think we kind of like making music that gives you the option to, you can just listen to it and just enjoy the song. It can be lighthearted. That's fine. But also like, there is a deeper meaning behind a lot of stuff in it. And, yeah, I think I kind of like leaving that option open to the listener of like, this can just be enjoyed. And then also like, you can dig deeper into it if you want to. And you can like let it work on you some and like see what it brings out of you. So yeah, I think that relates back to, for me, like what I hope to accomplish as a band is like, I don't think we have like this big, broad, like, political or like global goal as a band. I think it's more like, we want to be a tool to help people engage with their emotions and with themselves.
Absolutely. That's very well put. Do you want to add anything?
I mean, that sums it up. I mean, to me, if I think about the bands that I love and like how they've like positively impacted my life, it's just through like, yeah, being able to like kind of remember your life in different moments from it and remember different feelings and experiences, and then also just like going to shows and just having like the best time. Like that stuff adds so much value to life, you know, just music and going to shows does. So I think that, yeah, I mean, what he said sums it up well for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. I was very excited to chat with you guys, and I can't wait to hear the new music coming out. Vacation Manor, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
Thank you so
having us.
much.